Hello everyone, it's Noah here. I've been trying to make the Blackwing structure deck into a competitive deck for some time now, and the structure deck does have a lot going for it in terms of engine cards that allow synchro plays. However, there isn't much payoff as a synchro cards except for the Blackwing Assault Dragon exactly. Let me show you what I mean with a list, and then I'll show you an improved version of the deck I've made as well. The list you see in front of you was made with 3 structure decks and nothing else. And it is very good at making Blackwing the Assault Dragon exactly, but not consistent enough in making any other form of interruption, even though we do have some. This is a good starting point that I wanted to show for the 3-time structure decks. But now, I really want to get into what I have evolved this deck into to be competitive. So let's begin. Now, I know it does look kinda expensive, but all you really need to access the new and improved engine are 3 URs and 2 SRs. For every addition in the main deck, there are just hand traps that could be changed depending on the meta, and for every addition in the extra deck are pretty good cards that you don't really make in your mainline combo but could be very useful in extending your ceiling. But now let me explain what the mainline combo actually is. So you need 1 Seamoon and a Blackwing to banish for cost, and this will end on basically 2 Blackwing Assault Dragons, a Time Thief Reader with a trap and a monster underneath it, a 4-Blaze set to your field for a negate, and a Chinook in hand for another negate, as well as a Phantomize of Rastabardish in your board that doesn't really do anything unless if you are forced to go second, then when you summon Reader it will pop a card as well. With more cards in your hand, you can improve this end board even further with generic level 8 synchros as long as they're dark, such as Warlord Savage Dragon, but you don't even need that to be able to build this deck, but this definitely helps improve its ceiling and of its hand board as well. Now let's get into card by card and start by getting the hand traps out of the way. Obviously we are on 3 Maxx, it's still the most broken hand trap in the game. We have 3 Ash Blossom to counter the Maxx because our matchup against Maxx is pretty bad, but that's fine because that's pretty much every deck anyway. We have 3 Infant Impermanence, it's pretty good this format, it's good against tearlaments and most other decks. And for tearlaments specifically or any other light and dark decks, we have 3 bystials, 1 Magnamut, 1 Duristorm and Baldrake. These are really good hand traps, and Baldrake even has like a board effect that you can use to increase the ceiling of your end board, or these cards can also be used to link alive into Rastabardish as well if you need it, but we'll explain more to that when we actually get to it. Finally, as generic cards, I'm also playing 1 Call by the Grave, also to combat Maxx, and 1 Prosperity to get some more consistency. Even though banishing 6 is kind of difficult with this deck, I still think this card is crazy in anything you can play it with, so 1 Prosperity is pretty nice. But without further ado, let's get into the Blackwings. First we have Chandra, which is a really nice level 2 and typically my target for the Boral Storm, that has a graveyard effect. As a crit effect you can banish it and pop a monster your opponent controls. It can also be an extender if it's in your hand, so it's pretty good as a 1-0. Then we have Wada, which is crazy. It's a 1-card combo that just makes Blackwing Dragon by sending from your deck. You can send 2 cards such as Chinook and then Zephyros and then get them back to your field and hand with their effects of your cards. Or you could send a Zonda and then use its effect to summon a level 5 or higher Blackwing from your deck, such as another Seamoon, just have another body. So it's up to you where you go with it, but I prefer to get both Zephyros and Chinook into rotation, ideally. Then we have the Chinook itself. Now this card is a hand trap that makes your opponent do 700 attack and negate its effects, but this can only be used in your opponent's turn if you control a Dark Synchro monster, which is going to happen often because you'll probably end up with at least 2 Blackwing Dragons, if not more Dark Synchro monsters, and it is searchable with the Wada combo, so that's really nice to have. Same with Zephyros, also Wada's hand with Wada combo. Basically once per duel you can return a face-up card you have to your hand and then summon it, then you take 400 damage. This is really good because you can just return a continuous spell that you have and then reactivate the continuous spell. And since this card is a soft once per turn, you will be able to use its effects again, as well as having another body on the field, and you don't actually take the 400 damage because Blackwing Dragon is just going to absorb that and gain a Black Feather counter as well. Now we have 2 trees to track the Dawn. These cards are not that great, this is not used in the mainline combo, but it is a free special that's a level 4 so this might end up helping you mate a synchro like that Warlord Savage Dragon at the end of your combo if you need it, or it can just be another body to be able to link climb. Then we have Shamal. This is a really good card. It can be discarded to search your continuous spell, which is why we only need one of this continuous spell. And when it's in the graveyard, you can banish it to target a black in your graveyard and add it to your hand. This is only after you synchro summon a Blackwing Dragon, of course. This effect allows us to add the Chinook back to our hand so that it can be used as a hand trap. And it's also a level 4 tuner, so this can be really helpful in going into synchros as well. Then we have Sudri, which is one of the best normal summons we have. On normal summon, it will just add one card that mentions Blackwing Dragon from your deck to your hand, which we have an insane number of cards. You can add Shamal or Vada if you don't have them already, or if you do, you should go for something like a Blackwing Twin Shadow, which is a hand trap that we'll come into a little bit, but it's really helpful to get in whatever you want. And same with Simoon. So by banishing the Blackwing from your hand, you can activate a Black Whirlwind from your deck and then normal summon Simoon without actually using your normal summon. This will trigger Black Whirlwind, which will add any Blackwing you want, which as I said mainly Shamal or Vada if you don't have them already. But this is a very good starter, and with its effect you can add Sudri if you don't have him already, and then when you normal summon Sudri, it will trigger his effect and the Black Whirlwind's effect to get to you both Vada and Shamal. And if you have one of them already, you can get the trap as I mentioned, or any other Blackwing that you prefer. This is pretty insane, and it's really good. And lastly, we have Zonda the Dust. This can be your target for Vada, and it has a nice graveyard effect that allows you to have another body on board. But if you happen to draw it, it's still not the worst, because if you happen to tribute summon this, it is just going to compose a monster back to hand, which actually came up in my duels multiple times somehow. It's really surprising. You don't expect a tribute summon to come up, but if you have multiple Black Whirlwinds on board, tribute summoning this, composing a monster, and searching pretty much any Blackwing monster in your deck is actually kinda crazy. Then we have the Black Whirlwind. I already explained this, but when you normal summon a Blackwing, you add a Blackwing with less attack than that monster to your hand from your deck. And there is no once per turn on this, so as long as you can do multiple normal summons, you can just keep getting searches. Then we have the Black Feather Whirlwind, which allows you to resurrect the Blackwing from your graveyard or your banished when you synchro summon. And since it's a soft once per turn, you can reset this with Zephyros and then get 2 monsters back over the course of a turn. And then we have the Phantom Knight Score, which I have the Shade Brigandine, the Phantom Knights of Silent Boots, and the Fog Blade. So these cards work in tandem with the Phantom Knights of Rest Paradish, and how they work is that when you summon Rest Paradish, it allows you to set a Phantom Knight spell trap from your deck to the zone, so you can set something like Shade Brigandine, and this is a free level 4 body that can be used to make Time to Freedoer, and it will have its trap effect online. And then you can also send a Silent Boots to the graveyard, and then you can use its effect and banish this from the graveyard to set a Fog Blade from your deck, which is essentially just another Imperm. And finally, we have the Blackwing Twin Shadow, which allows you to shuffle 2 of your Blackwing monsters that are banished or in your graveyard to synchro summon a Blackwing monster with those targets. And this can be activated from your hand if you control 2 or more Blackwing monsters, or you can just set it as well. And this is really helpful in summoning cards like Silverwind the Ascendant. Now this card does miss timing, so you need to make sure that you don't activate this trap as a chaining 2 or higher, but when it is summoned you can destroy basically up to 2 monsters your opponent controls. Even though you cannot run at your battle phase that turn, you usually make this in your opponent's turn, so that part really doesn't matter. And now let's get into the extra deck monsters. So first we obviously have Blackwing Dragon that you make with Vada. And then the second monster you typically make is the Boreas Storm with your monsters. And even though Blackwing Dragon doesn't really do anything other than getting Black Feather counters when you take damage, and then can use those counters to reduce your opponent's attack, but Boreal Storm actually allows you to Foolish Boreal a Blackwing and then it becomes its level. So you might send a level 2 and then make it a level 2 Motuner with a level 8 Synchro. So you can then make Blackwing Assault Dragon beat those cards. And then Blackwing Assault Dragon has another effect where you can banish a Blackwing Dragon and the Synchro from your graveyard to summon it. So just with these two cards, you can make 2 Blackwing Assault Dragons turn 1. And what this monster does is that every time your opponent activates and resolves a monster effect, it gains 1 counter and deals 700 damage to your opponent, and if it has 4 more counters, you can remove them and destroy all cards in the field as a quick effect, which is very helpful in your boards. Then what you make typically is the Vice Tricks, which when summoned just summons a level 4 winged beast from your deck. So if you haven't gotten Zephyros yet, you can get them out this way, which is very helpful. And now the monster you summon cannot be used as link material, but it can be used for literally anything else, so this is very helpful. So even though you cannot go into link 3 with that monster, you can go into link 3 with any other monster you control, and that will make Rusty Bardiche, which is going to allow you to set those Phantom Knight traps from your deck, and then that way you can go into Reader, which is going to have a trap effect online, allowing you to place a card your opponent controls to the top of their deck without targeting it, and this allows you to out many different boards, as well as its monster effect can allow it to dodge some removal and just come back next turn, keep still your opponent's cards. This card is really good. I already went over the Ascendant, so let me go over every other card. Blackwing Noturn is a level synced synchro that is really helpful because it basically gives you another normal summon. This doesn't sound that good unless you read Black Whirlwind, and meaning that you can just normal summon 1 more and then search 1 more card, and this really helps increase the ceiling of your end board. Then we have some generic level 8 such as Borgolord Savage Dragon and Dueto Berserker of the Penny. This is a crit effect banish for your opponent's cards, and if you happen to have your link monster in the graveyard already, you can go into Borgolord Savage Dragon, which is just an Omni Negate. And then you have your level 10 other synchro, which is Yugioh Master. This card is just unaffected, so some decks just fail to out like unaffected monsters, so this comes really handy in such circumstances. And when they activate monster effect, this will place counters on them, and when it's back your turn, you can steal the monsters that has counters on. And like the stealing is just permanent, like you don't give the monster back to them next turn, you just take their monsters, which is really crazy. So with that out of the way, why don't we play some Blackwings? So I'll see you in the games. Now let's begin our game. We have lost the coin flip here, so we are going to be going second. Our opponent is playing Live Twin, and seeing that they added Live Twin home from Secret Password, meaning that a single Ash Blossom is not going to be enough to stop their combo, but I still think that's enough because we actually have a really good engine in our hands, and I still think no matter what they put in front of us, we should be able to play through it. They will go through the classic combos, summon Tissatil Cross, and together they will make Evil Twin Tissatil. With its effect, summon back Leela, and with it they will make Evil Twin Leela, which will summon back Tissatil, and then Tissatil will activate to draw down 1 card. With that, they're going to go into their Link 4, which is Trouble Tunny, and then they're going to set to back row and pass the turn back to us. I'm still feeling pretty good about it, and even though Zonda is a terrible draw, we still have the Black Whirlwind and the Sea Moon to start our combo. We'll banish the other Sea Moon for the Sea Moon's effect, and then trigger both Black Whirlwinds together to get 2 searches from our deck. We are going to be searching for Sudri, which is another of our normal summon, and Wada, which is going to be able to make our Synchro monster. We are going to activate Lightning to still cross to draw a card, but then we're going to normal summon the Sudri, activate its effect, and then chain both Black Whirlwinds to get another search, because none of these spells are once per turn at any point at all, they just want us to normal summon. So we are going to get a Chandra, a Chinook, and the trap card Twin Shadow. This is where they will activate their Maxx, which makes me really worried, even though they couldn't activate it earlier because both of our monsters were normal summons, but I'll still try to play through it anyway. So I activated a Shamal, hoping to get the continuous spell from our deck, but they actually had the Call by the Grave for it, so this is going to affect our combo quite a bit. But we also have the Vada that we would be able to Synchro summon from our deck, but they're also going to stop that by using their Infinite Impermanence, and we're giving them 2 more draws at this point, but you might as well go all in. So we are going to link summon these 2 monsters into a Vice Strix, and Vice Strix, when it's summoned, is going to summon another level 4 from our deck, which is going to be our Zephyros. Then we can link that bystials into Phantom Knights of Rastabar Dish, but its effect is going to get iced, so we won't be able to access the Phantom Knights engine of our deck at this game. But that's probably fine because we can still special summon Chandra and activate Twin Shadow Research to shuffle back Shamal and Suji to mate the Blackwing Dragon that we wanted to mate with Vada earlier. Then we can sync both Zephyros and Chandra in order to make Glorious Storm, which is going to send a level 2 monster from our deck to the graveyard to become a level 2, allowing us to synchro summon with our Blackwing Dragon into a Blackwing Assault Dragon. Now, having seen that, they're going to activate their Live Twin here, which is a little too late because they are going to take 700 damage for every monster effect they activate here, but they are trying to pop our Assault Dragon, but I'm not gonna let them do that. I have searched it earlier this turn, and I was holding it just for this Leela up until now, so we can negate its effects and have our Assault Dragon survive the turn and keep dealing them 700 damage for each effect. Then we can summon a second Assault Dragon using its effects by banishing 2 Synchros from our graveyard, and then we can use Zephyros, bounce back the Black Whirlwind so we can get in for more damage. We endure into battle phase. Thanks to the burns earlier, we have more than enough damage to just finish this game off, and even though they do all these tries for Maxx, it is not enough to stop us from winning the game. I would say this was really successful, but I haven't really been able to show what this deck can really do because we kept getting interrupted. So let's dive into the solo mode and I'll show you the straight combo line. Now, what I do want to show is the 1-card T-Moon combo that I haven't been able to show in the example game. And this hand is a pretty normal hand. It has the Sea-Moon, but it has no other engine, it just has basically 3 hand traps. But that's pretty normal and we can still full combo with it, and that's what I wanted to demonstrate. So we're going to start with activating Sea-Moon and pitching a Blackwing for cost. This will allow us to activate Black Whirlwind from the deck and then immediately normal summon Sea-Moon. With Black Whirlwind, we can go and grab our Sudri, which is our other normal summon. And then when we normal summon him, we're going to trigger him, and then we're going to chain block with Black Whirlwind because Sudri's effect is a little bit better than Black Whirlwind usually. Now we want to get Wada from the search, and then we want to get the Shamal from this other search. If you already have a Shamal in Wada, then you can go grab the trap as well. Now we can use the Shamal, send it to the graveyard to get the continuous spell, and then we can then special summon the Wada, and then use its effect to draw for a Synchro Summon. Now I do like to send Chinook and Zephyros here, but you can send Zonda if you want to, depending on the hand. Then we're going to summon the Blackwing Dragon, and then we can trigger Shamal, and then this will allow me to get the Chinook back to my hand as a hand trap, and then we'll trigger the Black Feather Whirlwind to get a level 2 tuner from my graveyard to my field, so I can Synchro Summon. Nice. Now, what we want to do here is we can now go and make this Synchro monster. And then on summon, it's going to send a Blackwing from deck, which I will choose the Chandra. So now it's a level 2, and then we can Synchro these off. Now, before I do that, just because I can, I am going to use Zephyros and bounce this back. And then I won't take damage because of Blackwing Dragon, and then we can reactivate this card. Now this will allow me to go for a Synchro Summon between these 2 monsters to have a Blackwing Dragon, Blackwing Assault Dragon. This will trigger the Black Whirlwind again, so we can resurrect one of our monsters. Here, I think we're just gonna go for a Shamal, getting it back from our banish back to our field so it can be used again later on. And now I'm going to start linking off these monsters and make a Bystials. Bystials effect, You're gonna be able to grab a Tornado with another Shamal, but any level 4 would do here. And then with those monsters, we can use them and go into our link tree, the Rastabardish. Now Rastabardish effect is going to send Silent Boost to the graveyard and add, well, set the trap to our field. And then we can use this trap to summon it to our field. And then we can easily go into either a redraw if you want, or optionally you could also just make Borreload Savage Dragon with this as well. But I do kinda like the redraw, the non-targeting return to the deck can be really useful. So I'm going to go with that. And if you summon the redraw here, like to zone it points, it will also trigger its effect to destroy one card, so that could be useful if you're doing seconds. Or you should just not make redraw and instead make a Borreload Savage, as I said. But we're gonna do that for now, and then we can once again synchro summon this monster by banishing the 2 materials from our graveyard. And now we have 2 Blackwing Assault Dragons. And the Silent Boost has another effect to banish itself, and then we will be able to get Ford Blade back to our hands. So we can also set that. And now we have Ford Blade, followed by Chinook, Ash Blossom, Magnamut, and Redraw's effect, and 2 Blackwing Assault Dragons which will deal 1400 damage every time they try to resolve a monster effect, and it will also be able to destroy all cards on the field once they have activated 4. As well as the Shine in the graveyard, which is also a quick effect, destroy a face-up monster they control. Although I would need to have a Blackwing Synchro monster for that, so that's not quite live yet, but it would have been if we had been able to search a trap with Sudri. But since this hand was pretty average, we can't really go as high as that. But I still think this is a really good end board that you should try to aim for when you're making your combo. Obviously, it's rare that you won't get entrapped, but sometimes your hand will even be better. Like the only card I had for this combo was a single Seamoon. If you have more monsters, you can have a higher ceiling end board. You can make this board and the Borreload Savage Dragon and have a trap set. If you have 1 Black Whirlwind and the Seamoon as well, that pretty much fulfills the condition in a way similar to what I did in the game I played. So the end board for this archetype can really be crazy. But that's it for this combo line, so I'll see you in the deck evaluation. So, we're back with the deck, and this was actually pretty good. The Blackwings are really able and capable of putting up strong board and playing through interruption when they have the hand. However, some weaknesses of the deck is that sometimes you can really just break. You really don't want to draw Phantom Knights of the Silent Boost in your opening hand, because that just turns off your Rastabardish line. And even though drawing the trap cards don't really turn the combo off, they would definitely reduce your ceiling by just killing their card in your hand essentially. And if you don't open like 2 different Blackwings, then it's very hard to start comboing off. You would need at least like a Blackwing and probably something like a Black Whirlwind, or at least like a Vada as your only Blackwing to be able to do anything to begin with. There's also the Matter of Extra deck, which is kind of really tight, but there's also like a lot of cards you can replace with. Something like Northern the Starlight or Berserker of Satani is not a card that I made a lot, so you could play something else instead. Or in cards like Blackwing the Assault Dragon and Blackwing Dragon, you can cut them to 1 and 2 respectively as well and play different cards. Even Full Armor Master, even though it can be really good, you can just play a different level 10 if you wanted to, so there's a lot of flexibility with this deck, so this is certainly not the only build you can do, but it's still a good build nevertheless. Bystials go with this deck pretty well because they're dark, but the only thing you can really go into with Bystials is Rastabardish, so you should put in more Link monsters, and as long as they're dark, you would be able to go into them no problem. Finally, in the Prosperous, it feels a little awkward because you never really want to banish 6, it's kind of hard to find what to banish. But even then, I still like this card, even though I'm very tempted to banish 3 most of the times, it's still a good card that increases the consistency in a deck that really wants that opening hand consistency, and once you already have the opening hand, it's very hard to stop you from comboing off, so definitely give this deck a try. The Bystials really only made this deck quite a lot better. Even though your opponent can hit you with their Bystials as well, you can chain your Bystials to their Bystials, etc. So I still think this deck is pretty capable in this format, and I hope this helps you too. So I hope you liked it, and I'll see you in another video.